I've been slowly working on editing this podcast episode for the full week. I don't know why, I just keep chipping away at it a few minutes at a time. Finally, I've put it together. This is Jordan. He was in West Yorkshire, and I did offer to drive down to see him, but he said due to his anxiety, his social anxiety, he wanted to do this by Discord, so we did. And he'd set up his camera and his microphone and everything, and I'd done the same, and we had this amazing conversation that just... I was worried that it was going to be all about Doctor Who, because I'm not a big fan of Doctor Who, and I know he is a big fan of Doctor Who, like to the max, but we kind of just used Doctor Who as a way to branch into other topics, so I feel it's accessible to all, even me. But this is Jordan in West Yorkshire. I never do like a proper intro or anything with these things, so it's just kind of, we're already on it now, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so the things I think I know about you so far, you like Doctor Who a lot, right?
Yes.
And this is something with me, I was like, whenever I see someone with Doctor Who, I'm like, I haven't watched Doctor Who past like the old stuff, like with the Dalek. I mean, the Daleks are in the new one, aren't they? But like the old stuff, I don't know if it was Tom Baker or what. My mum used to put on these old videotapes of it years ago, and there's this amazing one. I think it was black and white. They go to the planet of the Daleks, and it was just this. It was very different to what they make now, and I think the joy of it was how bad the special effects were because it was so old, you know.
Yeah. The special effects were a bit wonky, but the way they used to make TV in the 60s, I think they used to like write the script. The scripts were submitted on transmission day or like Sunday, and then they'd rehearse Monday to Thursday. They'd film on the Friday, and then it were out on the Saturday. And it's just like they only had, at the beginning, 2 cuts per episode, so it was much more...
2 cuts? What, you mean like it has to be perfect for 50% and then you can cut halfway through kind of thing?
Yeah, it were either 2 or 3 cuts.
I mean, that's inspiring for anyone that wants to make anything, really. If they could do it on that budget, with that time, with the limit of 1 cut, or 2 cuts, then no one has any excuse for...
When they like brought the new series back, they did behind the scenes stuff, and basically I blame that for me getting into filmmaking. You jump to BBC Three for an hour after, it was straight after, and for an hour they told you behind the scenes of the episode you've just watched.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. I love that. I love that when on the end of like David Attenborough's stuff as well, like this is how we did it. Sometimes that's more interesting than the actual thing. You know, when you can see the big cameras and you just think, oh, I'd love to get my hands on one of them cameras, or just the lights and the way they do it. It is fascinating. Like,
yeah, it was just it basically around when it ended, I was just like, I want to get into filmmaking now. And then ever since I've watched that, I've been doing films ever since. So I was about 11 when I started doing films properly.
Right.
But then I ended up doing filmmaking courses. So I've done writing courses, cinematography, directing, editing.
Wow. Were they like a uni thing, or were they a college thing, or a paid thing? Or what?
I've done a few in my own time, like on the internet.
Oh, you do it online?
But my main filmmaking course was in college. But when I did the interview for college, the tutor said, well, you don't need to be on this course because from what you've told me, you know how to do everything we're going to teach you. I was in the same classroom as everybody else, but they put me on a higher level, so it was more like a uni thing. So I was doing uni work when I should have been doing college work.
I think that's the main thing that you get from college, and that is like, you get led into a room with all the things you could ever dream of that you can't afford, and they're just like, here you go, make something with it.
Yeah, we had to go downstairs, and it was this guy in a cupboard. His name was Steve.
Right. You know he's going to be good if he's in a cupboard.
That was his office. He stayed in there, I think, about 8 hours a day in this little cupboard because you had to sign your cameras out, you had to sign your microphones out. But then he just ended up handing me like these big LED light panels. These panels, I didn't know how to work them at first. And then he went, there's a button on the back. And basically this one button controlled everything. You just had to press it loads.
Deceptively simple.
It looked like it was going to be like, I don't know how to do this. And then it was just like, it's a button.
It's the same with everything, I suppose. It's like when you have older people and like, I don't know how to work these computers. It's like, it's so intuitive. So are phones and everything. But good equipment, it's like, people in the past, like people in the early days of Doctor Who, I suppose, they really had to like struggle for stuff. I suppose the old tape cameras were easier, but have you ever seen someone load a film camera?
I had to do something on film at one point, and I was like, I can't do this. I was born in the digital age.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to suffer through it. It'd be like going by ship to America or something, you know. Did you end up making the thing then on film?
It's somewhere in the college things. I only got my first like external hard drive after I left college, so I could never really save. I regret not saving it.
I get it. I've lost everything, man. Everything from the early days. This is why I'm so obsessed with like reenacting stuff and getting people. It's because it's all gone, and it's actually easier to just remake it than it would be to, I don't know, dig up whatever hard drive from the schools are shut down. The colleges, it's just not there anymore. Like, my parents threw out my old computer just because it was just gathering dust in a wardrobe, or on the top of a wardrobe. And I would have loved to have access to that and just get all the old YouTube stuff off it and all the old, like, oh man, what a treasure trove that would have been. But it's like, it's only now that I've got the hard drive space and stuff to actually like keep all of this good stuff. And it's like old videos and stuff. People, they just threw them in their loft, and hope for the best. And no one really appreciated how important it would be years later. And it's like your college stuff now. It's like you just couldn't have appreciated how worth it would have been to get a hard drive, you know?
Yeah, it was just like, it's just gone. I think I actually did. My friend saved 1 or 2 projects, and they're the only things I've got from my college days. And I'm like, I did a parody of Most Haunted. I went into 30.
Wow.
I went into 30 East Drive.
It's like a famous haunted building.
Yeah, it's one of the most famous haunted buildings. They made a film about it.
Oh, I'd love to see that. Is that available now, or is that one of the lost archive things?
I don't know if I've still got the parody one that I've made, but they made like a blockbuster about the actual house itself.
Oh, you mean like there's stuff online about the house itself, but the project that you did is possibly lost. But here's a question for you. Did you feel the presence of something in that house?
In that house, it was strange, because I tried to say, because I was alone in the house, I tried to say as skeptical as possible.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But I took some footage of a supposedly haunted doll, and I know I took the footage, and I know I took the picture of it. When I got back to college and I put the camera in, the file itself was corrupted, just of that one thing. And I'm like...
That's why there's no footage of ghosts, because they corrupt the footage.
Maybe it was just a coincidence.
Did you feel the moment? Did you feel like the chill or the kind of... Was there an atmosphere?
There was definitely an atmosphere. Downstairs was fine. I walked around downstairs fine. But when you went upstairs, it was like something heavy, like the air was heavy.
Do you know what I would love to know, though? If you could get 2 people, one of them knows there's something happened there. They're both skeptics, right? One of them knows something happened there and one of them doesn't. And you ask them both, did you feel anything? Did you feel... And it's like, how much of that is your mind telling you there's something? Or how much of that is like, there is something there? It's kind of beyond our comprehension, isn't it? We're not adapted enough mentally to know what these things are. It's such a weird thing.
It is, especially, and then the like concept of ghosts and like something after death is very much brought on of I wouldn't say beliefs, but well, it would be beliefs. Like what belief system is in place?
Yeah, I mean, we just don't know, but we can't accept that there's nothing. But it also makes about as much sense as there being something. Like,
Yeah.
how do we have any idea? Like, I don't know if you're a Rick and Morty fan, if you watched it or not, but
I've watched a couple of episodes.
there's a one where they go to an arcade, Blitz and Shits, and they're playing this game, Roy, and it's just like he lives his whole life with the helmet on, and then he takes the helmet off and he's like, wait, I was just playing a game this whole time. There's that makes about as much sense as anything I've ever heard with heaven and hell and religion. And like, what if this is all just, I know people say we're in a simulation, but what if each of us is in a simulation and it was only a joke? It was only like, oh, give that a try, and all your family have stood by you waiting for you to finish, and when you take the helmet off, you're like, wait, all of that life was just this game. And then your family are there. Maybe that's something, you know. That makes about as much sense as ghosts, you know.
Yeah, there's definitely something to think about when they say, "Oh, life's a simulation," and it's just like, well, why can't it be?
Yeah.
It's the same. It's just like, why not?
Yeah, like, oh, don't be ridiculous. It's not a simulation. It's just a place that exists because of an explosion that happened, and all of everything we know is just a pure accident. There's no beginning or end or outside to it. Don't be silly talking about simulations. It's clearly the other thing. Like, that makes less sense than a simulation.
Yeah, it just like, is it an accident? Is it by design? Is it just one heck of a coincidence?
Yeah.
Why we actually...
But I don't know. I can't really, like, the more you think about that, the more it's just like, is there something outside of it? Is there something that was before it? I think Eddie Izzard had a bit where they were like, we were in God's kitchen, he was trying to make a flan, and then his oven exploded, and that's what the universe is. Like, it's as simple as that. It could be just something stupid.
I was watching a Neil deGrasse Tyson thing on TikTok, and he basically said, what if it's a video game and someone created a video game within that video game and it became self-sufficient, and someone made a video game within that video game, and we're all just worlds within worlds within worlds of just somebody playing a video game.
Why not? But you ever have one of those dreams? Like, I think this happens when I lie on my back, but it's a dream where you become aware that it's a dream, and you can't shake your way out of it. It's somehow like trapped you in this dream. You know it's a dream, and you just think like, oh, I can't remember who was it. Was it Poe or someone that wrote all of this is a dream within a dream? I don't know if it was Poe or someone, but it's like this could be a dream within a dream. It could be a simulation within a simulation. It could be a universe within a universe. It could be. It's. I guess we all just have to enjoy our lives and just think. The ghost thing, like when you're doing these ghost adventures, what is that? Is that like a glitch in it? Is that I don't know, is it a tear in one of these? It's hard to know, but people dismiss it like it's a joke, because Derek Acorah, for example, was really ridiculous when he was doing these shows, but I never watch them and think, I've written it off. It's ridiculous. I'm always a little bit scared that it could be real, always.
Yeah, there's always the fact where it could just be like, again, I'm going back to the Doctor Who thing. They did an episode where it was ghosts, but it was actually like the walls of the universe touching.
Bit like the end of Interstellar, that.
And it were like, there was this one dimension, and then there was someone trapped, and they were trying to reach out, and then they were the ghost, and it was just a person that needed saving.
Yeah, exactly. We could be the ghosts now, just talking in here, and in like 100 years it's going to be like, I can hear someone talking to themselves, but they don't realise, well, I was just doing a podcast when I was alive. I'm just an echo of that guy.
Yeah, it all gets pretty existential when you think about it.
The Haunting of Bly Manor, or one of the other ones, I can't remember, Hill House or Bly Manor, I can't remember which of the two it was. Did you watch either of those?
Yes, I've watched both of those.
Well, you know that thing how there's the bent neck lady who terrifies the kids? And then turns out, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched it. It's been on about a year now. If you haven't watched it by now, just just cover your ears for this next 30 seconds, right? But the bent neck lady turns out to be her the whole time, scaring her as a child. That's fucking brilliant, man. That's like,
Yeah.
oh no, that is such like mind-blowing thing. Did you watch Hereditary?
A bit ago, yes. When I was in America, I watched it.
Do you go to the cinema, or was it on like a DVD or something?
It was on a streaming service.
Oh, right,
I think it was Hulu or something. I don't know.
What did you think of it?
I liked it. But I've got this habit in horror films. I don't really get scared, but sometimes I end up just laughing at them.
Oh yeah, it was a funny one for people like that. There was some hilarious moments in it, but also, Jesus Christ, it was horrific what you're watching.
Yeah,
there were some
like...
chilling moments. The bit where she's bashing her head off the attic door.
Oh.
And the bit where she's cutting her own head off, it was like, fucking hell, man. These demons or whatever, they don't respect the body at all that they're possessing.
No.
But yeah, it was a really good film, that. But I feel like we're going to be giving away too many spoilers for all these films,
yes.
you know. But it's good to talk to someone that watches these things, because not a lot of people like horror these days, you know.
I'm a proper old school horror fan though as well, because my mum brought me up on stuff like Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Friday the 13th, and then I had all the Hammer horror stuff.
Yeah,
as well. So I've
what's he called? Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
Vincent Price, Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
All those films. So I've seen. I prefer an older horror to a modern horror, because I think they knew how to scare people.
They built it up. Like now it's like purely based on how brilliant the sound design is to bring the sound down, and then sometimes it really pisses me off where you can clearly hear that they've just cut the clip and knocked one of them up full blast just to shock you, and it's like, that's not actually a scary moment. That's just you hitting the volume button, you know? You haven't created a scary moment.
And it's less impactful at home when you're getting the jump scare, because it's designed, the jump scare's designed for the cinema.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So if you don't watch it in the cinema, it's just like, oh, you've just blown my speaker on the back of your telly.
I know. We watch so many of them at home, but occasionally one will come up at the cinema. I'm like, we've just got to, because we both think we're, you know, immune to horror, and then we go and watch them at the cinema, and it's like way scarier. But it's scary in a way that it shocks you in the moment, but new films don't send you home thinking about it all night, and that's what old horror films used to do. They used to be like, Jesus, like it's not that you can't sleep, it's just that you don't want to think about it anymore, but it won't get out of your head. And maybe it's like the low budget thing made them inventive, but it means that you're not like amazed by the special effects, you're just like creeped out by the idea. Like, just someone would be like, why does that happen in that film? Why would you put that in my head?
It's like I've not seen it, and I won't watch it because it's just like they call it torture porn and stuff. It was Hostel.
Oh my god.
And
yeah, I've seen Hostel.
And my mum has seen it, and she was telling me what they did, and I'm like, why would anybody commit that to film?
I wanted to scrub my brain clean when I walked out of that cinema. I was only, I think, probably about 16 when I went to see it, and I just snuck in, you know. I know that it's all fiction, but it's just like, oh no. I didn't want to know that's something that could happen.
Yeah, it's just like, things are better left.
Yeah, but then you think about like history lessons and stuff and medieval torture and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, they were pretty fucking bad before there were movies, you know? They were pretty awful people. We're savages. Like, humanity is the worst like creatures like to ever roam this earth. There's nobody crueler than humanity.
Yeah, it's with how we treat even like someone like Guy Fawkes. He were hung, drawn and quartered. And
we celebrate it every year.
Yep. Let's
have a toffee apple.
Effigy on a bonfire.
Yeah. The more you read about that, did you see that thing? I remember this in history. There was a book, and it was like, this was his signature, and then this was his signature after he'd been tortured, and it was just like almost illegible. And I just thought, you know, what's the point? I mean, why did they? How can you go home at night after doing that to someone for whatever reason and think that that's okay.
Yeah, it's just they were very, very brutal, and I think it was really because of again going back to like the religion thing. It was all in God fearing.
Yeah.
Let's put this person through torture to show that we are in the right.
Yeah. Good versus evil. The
Yeah,
good can
and
be
it
as
was just
evil as they want in the pursuit of good.
yeah,
That's interesting. I've never thought about it like that. Yeah. They put the fear of God in you by acting like the devil.
like this is what you're going to go through
Yeah. Get
when
used to
you're
this.
yeah.
The idea of hell, it's like, who's paying these demons? Why are they doing it? Are they just going 12 hours a day? Are they going 16 hours a day? Well, for what? To punish someone who did something 1,000 years ago. Like, it's for all time, right?
Yeah.
So really, it's like, okay, what if we got more people coming in? Well, yeah, people die every day, right? And have we got more demons? Well, I suppose. Like, we'll get more demons. Where's the energy coming from? What's the point? And with
It's
heaven, it's
just-
just like, you want to create another mansion for another person? You want to have, like, what's the point?
It just seems like futile, and now you just give me the image in my image in my head of like demons on shift work.
That's it. I mean, it would have to be, right?
Like, clocking in, he's been a bit of a bugger today.
Yeah. I would say go easy on him, but, we're not allowed. So, full steam ahead.
Yeah.
I'm on the night shift. I'm drinking Red Bull. Like, they'd have to have a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm. And there'd have to be some really strict managers like, come on, guys, got to have a big day today. Why? We've been going non-stop for all time. When do we get a break? I've put in a time off request and it's been refused for the last 1,000 years.
Oh well, you've got to work. You've got to whip that chain.
You've got to push for it. But why? What am I getting? I don't even get paid anymore. There's no concept of money down here. Like, what is the point? I'm going on the sick with stress. Like, this is a sitcom waiting to happen. Like, Did you watch The Good Place, by the way?
No, I didn't watch The Good Place. I was just, as soon as people started talking about it, I was just like, when people start like, bigging something up, I just tune out when people are bigging it up
that,
because it's just like, because if you watch it and then it doesn't click with you, then you're just like, well, they're wrong.
Yeah, it'll just get on your nerves.
So I've kind of put a pin in it, but I will get round to it at some point.
It is. I don't want to big it up now because I feel like you're not going to watch it, but it's not overwhelming, and it's not like it's something that you'll be pleasantly surprised when you watch it. It's not going to throw a load of madness in your face. It's a slow burn. And it's really funny.
Well, it's on the list, so I think it's finished now, so I think I've got plenty of time to catch up.
Oh yeah, it finished. I think they did 4 seasons of it, but we binged it. We didn't even realize it was like over until it was like, wait, there's no more. What? It was, and I hate when people are like, I've got this new show we need to binge. I'm like, right, I hate having a show like that I have to watch because that now I've got no free time. I've got to watch this show.
Yeah, it's just like, especially with binge watching, as I think only certain programs deserve to be binge watched, and then the rest should be like weekly, because I think it's ruined a lot of things, because there's no, when it was week to week, you'd have that week. And if you found somebody who was a fan, you'd have your discussion about that week's episode. What do you think's going to happen? But if it's like, here's 8 episodes, watch it all in a day. You go on Twitter, you've only watched 2 episodes. You've got a spoiler for end of series.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Everyone's on different schedules now.
Yeah, so it's just like, how do you talk to somebody about your favourite programme unless you've seen it all?
Yeah, you can only talk about it up until, you can't separate the episodes in your head. Like, whoa, stop, they haven't seen that far. You're just going to tell them all your favourite bits.
It's a strange one because I sit on the middle of the fence for like streaming and stuff, because I'm all there for like the convenience of it. But I think it's gone too far in one direction when it should have gone in the other.
You mean
it's
like
gone more...
it's available, but everything's available all the time?
Yeah, it's just like, instead of like what Disney does with the like Marvel shows, they release it weekly.
Yeah.
And like with like Mandalorian, it's a weekly thing, so you get to discuss the episode. But like Netflix will go, well, here's all of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Here's
We just like watch it as quick as we can, and then we're like, oh no, got to wait another 2 years. Yeah, because you just
Yeah.
binged it in a day.
It's like we watched the latest Stranger Things, I think in 2 days,
Yeah.
and we were just like, well, what now?
Yeah, and it was brilliant. I loved it, and I think we did about the same thing. And then everyone listened to Kate Bush all the time, and it was like everyone was. Luckily, with that one, everyone watched it. Like everyone binged it, and then
Yeah.
we're all talking about it. But it's like you say, you go online, if you've watched one episode, you're going to get that spoiled straight away because people don't care. Why are they talking about Kate Bush? Well, you haven't finished the series, so you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good. I think it was a good time for Kate Bush. I think she's just passed like 1 billion streams.
Yeah.
On Running Up That Hill, so it was just like, it's been a good year for Kate Bush.
Definitely, yeah. I love that song, but I mean, on that album, I'd always put that song to one side, and I was more of a fan of, what's the other one called? Hounds of Love. Also, that was
Yes.
the better song on the album. And then everyone gravitated to I suppose, if Hounds of Love had been the one for the show, it wouldn't have quite fit the same way as that song
Yeah.
did, but it brought a
Look.
song. I would often just listen to it like whatever, and now I appreciate it more.
Like, I've always been with like when I write, I immerse myself in music because I think, but I don't usually listen to songs with lyrics in them because when I'm writing, I think so much is like, there's a story in the lyrics anyway, and there's only so many like scenes you can actually fit that to, or like in your head write to, because to like Running Up That Hill, you're gonna write an epic scene like
It influences
was.
it too much.
But when you've got like instrumental music, like I listen to a lot of film soundtracks and stuff separate from the films. I try and not listen to like the ones that films that I've watched.
Yeah, you don't listen to Jaws or something because then there's only one thing going to come up in your head.
Yeah, like you can take the music and separate it, and then you can sort of put it into the context what you want.
I used to like do the same thing. I would put on music, and then I don't know why, but I ended up just enjoying the music too much, and I would be sitting there looking at a blank page. Now I have to just write in silence. It's just I don't know why. I can't have music on anymore.
What I used to do is I used to put before I got Spotify, and it was all there at a click of a button.
Yeah.
I used to put my Jean-Michel Jarre records on.
That's all instrumental stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'd put those on, and I could write for days with those on.
I'm going to have to familiarise myself. I might try writing to some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking records like vinyls, or when you're writing, or
It was vinyls when I had my big vinyl player.
vinyl is such a magical thing. It's something to lose yourself in for a while. Is that gone now? Is the whole thing gone? It's shelved.
Well, I've got a little like one of those portable ones.
Oh,
my
yeah.
big vinyl player is in storage, which is a old story. We moved to America after I finished college, and I got my record player and stuff over there. But we had to move back just due to like, if they wanted to continue his visa, we could not leave America for 5 years, so we couldn't come visit family. So we were just thought, well, if we're not going to be able to see family, we'll just come back.
And was that in Florida?
Yeah, we lived in Orlando.
God, that would be amazing. I mean, I've been a couple of times on holiday, but living there, what was that like?
It was just, we didn't get much time for fun because we were running a restaurant over there.
British people running a restaurant in America with British sensibilities.
It was going well, and then when we got told we couldn't leave for 5 years, we were like, well,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to
leave.
We're gonna have to make a decision. We had a death in the family. My granddad passed, and then we just thought we'll come back for the funeral, and then seeing everybody, we were just like, we're gonna miss them for 5 years because they were getting on in age.
Yeah.
They were getting up there in age, and we're just like, we're gonna miss
We missed the
everybody.
last years.
And it was just like, so come back. So everything in store. I've been back for 5 years now, but everything's still in storage in America because it's that expensive to get things back. So we're going. I think we're going in March to go get everything.
Oh,
so that's
nice.
a quest.
You should film it all. But what kind of record player was it that you had, like that you put in storage?
It wasn't like an old one. It was a 6-in. It was one of them 6-in ones, so it played CDs, cassettes.
Oh, okay. One of those old hi-fis with the record player on top.
But it was in like an all-in-one unit thing.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be a bit poo because you know get a proper one. I'm like, I don't have 500 quid to spend.
There's a lot of elitism with the vinyl thing.
Yeah. And I was just like, I watched a video on it on YouTube and I thought, I'll get that one, see how it sounds. And it's like, that'll do me.
There's no limit to how stupid you can get with record players and stuff. You can spend £100,000, still not be happy with it. And the more you spend, the more you're sitting there like grimacing, thinking, oh, what if there's a click or a pop or it doesn't sound amazing? The less you invest in it, the more you'll just enjoy your records, I think.
Well, with like the cracks and the pops, I don't think a record, if it's a vinyl, I don't think it should be fully perfect.
Yeah. It's unique.
Because no one else has got that crack and pop in the middle of that song. And then you learn to expect it. And then if it's not there on like the radio, you think, well, it doesn't sound the same. It doesn't feel the same.
That's something that we've lost with streaming, definitely. Like there was a copy of Queen's Greatest Hits. It was one of the first records I heard out of my mum's collection. And Somebody to Love had a skip at the beginning. Anybody find me, and you had to bang the thing in order to skip onto this. And now whenever I hear that song, I'm waiting for that to happen, and it never happens. It just plays smoothly. It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's I'll always champion physical media. It's like at the end of May, the people, I think they were called Network Distributing, they just went into instant liquidation. There's that many people not buying physical media because, it's all on ITVX now. It's all on BBC iPlayer. No one... It's like there's only a small community of people now buying DVDs, Blu-rays, CDs, vinyls.
It must be like, very few people doing that now.
It's a crying shame because Disney did something that I wasn't really happy with. You know that new show Willow that's only just come out?
Yeah.
Which was like the sequel to Willow. It's only been finished about a month, and they took it off the streaming service forever. What? No physical release. There's the whole list of these programs, and they've just gone forever because they weren't commercially successful. So they've just wiped them with no chance of release.
That's so unfair and unnecessary. And you know, they'll probably release it in years' time and it'll be a ridiculous price.
They're just like, they like the money. That's what it is.
Yeah, Disney.
They don't really,
very much.
They don't really care if something's good or bad. If something's bad, they can always wipe it.
That's scary, really. There's probably a lot of things that they could just... People, you know how, like, stuff is important forever, like Back to the Future. Imagine if they just wiped Back to the Future, like Universal just wiped it, you know? They got rid of the ride.
Yeah, they got rid of the ride. And then it was Terminator? I'm not sure what it was. But they've just got rid of the Terminator ride and it's just like an empty building now.
Mm.
They've got rid of the Shrek cinema at Universal. It's just gone.
Just expand the park, you know? Keep the old things and expand it. That would be way more fun, I think.
It's like you've got to lose something to have something. It's they put like a Fast and Furious ride in there where the Twister experience used to be.
That was amazing. That giant warehouse with all the weather.
Yeah, with all the weather and
that's gone now.
That has gone now, and it's like a Fast and Furious ride. And I tell you what, the Fast and Furious ride, it is poo.
That's really depressing.
You get in a bus, literally a bus. It takes you on a little track, takes you around on a little track, and then it stops. And then it's like a simulation. But no matter where you sit on this bus, you do not have a clear view of the entire ride. You've either got the right side or the left side. You can't
Ah,
keep looking because there's that. It's set out like a bus, so you've got rows and rows and rows of chairs.
maybe that's the secret. Like they can get away with more if you can't see everything.
Yeah.
But that's sad because that Twister experience. You know what? The other one was Jaws. They got rid of the Jaws ride, and now that's just
Yes.
gone. That was like all the memories from childhood. I'm glad they still got the earthquake one. Don't tell me that one's gone.
Which one's the earthquake one?
I think it's the one where you go in a subway car, and then like the subway like collapses, and like there's a tanker that falls down and it fills with water.
That I've just googled it. It closed in 2007.
What is left? What is that's so depressing. But
What they did is they took loads of things out, and then they just put, well, in this place, here's Harry Potter. It's
Yeah.
like, well, the reputation of Harry Potter's gone down.
yeah, that's gonna go now,
immensely.
isn't it? They're gonna wipe it.
It makes too much money, so it's just like
Yeah.
what they want is the big franchise names. They've got, well, here's Harry Potter. I think they're changing Jurassic Park into the newer stuff, so it's going to say Jurassic World.
That Jurassic Park one is incredible. It's like the ultimate log flume. And it has the proper Jurassic Park lobby and everything. Like,
This is like the proper attention to detail that you want. But I think I think they've changed it in the Hollywood one to Jurassic World. I don't know where it stands in Orlando anymore.
what would it take to make a new park with all of the stuff that was in the old park that was gone? Could we, from memory, recreate the Back to the Future one, the old original, like King Kong ride? Do you remember the King Kong ride?
I don't remember the original one.
That was probably in the 90s. We went in 96. That was there then.
Yeah, I wasn't born till 99, so I don't.
Okay, fair enough. There's your excuse.
My excuse is I wasn't born.
Yeah.
But the new King Kong ride, again, it's the same setup as the Fast and Furious. It's a bus. And the only reason you go on that King Kong ride is to go for the end, because the animatronic at the end is absolutely... It's like you can feel it and see it breathing.
Yeah.
It looks so real.
That would be a brilliant place to house him if there ever was a real King Kong. It's like, oh my god, he's so real, and he could get away with murder because it would just be like,
Yeah.
unbelievable special effects.
Well, it was like when Johnny Depp did that on the Pirates of the Caribbean
yeah.
ride.
There's so many places for him to hide because everyone looks a bit like Johnny Depp. All the animatronic things, they look a bit like. I mean, it's all based. He's based on them, right? And then they tweak to look like him.
There's these like ones that look like Johnny Depp, and then when Johnny Depp was actually there, no one batted an eyelid.
Yeah.
They were just like,
You'd hear about it later.
yeah, and they were just like, oh well, that's John. That was Johnny Depp.
You know what? When I was on it, I was thinking one of these is going to actually be him, and I'm just going to look very closely. They're really, really good likenesses.
Yes.
But I think there's a lot of it is the atmosphere and the darkness and the distance. It's like you were saying on the bus, you can't see it all because they don't want you to. They want you to have like a real experience of like leaning and trying to see stuff and being like, oh, if you saw it with all the lights on outside of the bus, it would just be like really underwhelming.
Yeah, but the bus ones are less practical because the bus is a real thing. But outside the windows, it's IMAX screens.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's all digital. It's not like Pirates where things are tangible. Like you could reach out and grab something off that table. It's all just digital now because they've done them cheaply.
That's a shame considering how much money they make.
Especially when they're saying, oh, this ride's got Vin Diesel in it. And
Yeah.
Vin Diesel's there and he's about 2 inches.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, you can't see Vin Diesel properly.
I gotta go now. I gotta see like these rides and these IMAX screens. I'm curious about like how bad it is. You know, like the more someone says it's terrible, I'm like, I gotta go now. I gotta see this. I've got to visit.
For the most part, it's good. They've still got the core things that you would like expect, but the newer rides, they don't hold a candle to the ones that were already there.
Yeah, like even when they're making new films now, there's so much CGI in them that like they don't really care about the magic of creating something properly and practical effects and stuff. The practical stuff from the past, like in Jurassic Park, for example, is the stuff that we remember because it looked so much. It doesn't date. It looks real. It's camera real. You know, I think a lot of the old stuff used to be just physically. They would chisel a wall until it looked exactly like a wall, kind of thing, like in a cave. Because why put a screen there when you could actually make it? And your eyes know the difference. I think your brain knows the difference. Definitely.
It's like when everybody's like complaining about, oh, there's too much CGI. It's just like like for the most, I think it was the new Ant-Man film. Everybody really complained that the CGI was bad, whereas there's stuff you can't do practically. That's fair, but I watched that film and I think some of those sets that they're standing on, the only thing that exists is the floor. You could have built a building. You could have painted. You could have built something out of polystyrene.
The one that bothers me the most is CGI fire. It's like, just set a controlled flame. Why would you have CGI? It looks so fake. When there's a burning building, but all the fire is clearly fake. It's just so sad. It's like, so you're just walking around a building that isn't even on fire. There's no peril, you know?
No, you can't predict fire. You can't predict the movement of fire. So fire is unpredictable. So when they CGI it, it's all tracked on a path, and you're like, no, it wouldn't do that.
I think also for the actors, like you'll know from Florida, like fire. It sounds stupid to say it. Fire is really hot, and it's like, I know obviously it's hot. It's a flame. It's literally fire. But when you go to watch those stunt shows and that, and they have big balls of fire, it's like it burns. It feels like it's burning the hair on your face or whatever. It's just like, oh my God, there's something primal about it. And I think the actors reacted to that better when there was real fire. Or when there's a guy and he's wearing one of those flame-proof suits and they've set him on fire to run through the set, that gives me goosebumps in a weird way. It's just like, oh, this is scary. Someone's been set on fire. That will resonate with you, and you'll think about that when you go to sleep at night. But a CGI character just running about going, oh, it does nothing for my mind.
No, I agree with, just make everything you can practical.
And except what's physically impossible, and then enhance it.
When they went, oh, there's these characters, I don't even know what they look like because they're tennis balls on a stick.
Yeah.
And you're just like, that's not giving the actors anything to go on.
I think actors hate it as well.
Because they can't act against anybody.
Yeah.
They're acting against a tennis ball and a guy shouting lines about 6 feet behind camera. But again, when I was watching like for updates for like set filming for like Doctor Who and stuff.
Yeah.
And they had, because you'd think now, oh, it'll all be practical. And certain things you can tell they were running from CGI monsters.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't know if it's spoiler talk or anything, but it was public filming and there was this giant slug type alien, and it was practical, it was moving.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was just like, that's how you do it. You just make a giant slug.
Yeah, giant silicone and grease.
You can enhance things with CGI, like they did with Grogu, Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
He's a physical prop. He exists in the real world. And they just enhance it with CGI. So, like, stuff they can't get the puppet to do, like backflips. Yeah. They'll CGI it.
But it's a real thing, and the person is, like, looking at a real Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think that's it. Like, we could make such better films they could make such better films, these multi-million-dollar studios, if they just had the right practical effects people and used technology to enhance that rather than just create the whole thing through CGI. Everyone hates CGI. Nobody's like, yeah, I prefer a film when it's all CGI. Nobody likes that. We all feel ripped off.
Yeah, it's like one of my favourite films. Well, I've got two favourite films, and it's Who Framed Roger Rabbit
Mm.
and Labyrinth.
Yeah, all. I mean, Labyrinth is all puppets, isn't it? It's all like
Yeah, it's all
sets and
Jim
puppets.
Henson Studio. It's all sets and puppets.
It's a beautiful
But
film.
how Roger Rabbit worked. Oh, that was a car going
I
past.
heard it.
They made the animation. They made the animated characters interact with the real world in a practical way. You see characters opening a door. You see them spurting water out of a sink. It's like Roger Rabbit jumps through some Venetian blinds. He leaves the imprint of himself in the blinds. They made the animated characters as real as possible.
Didn't they like if you watch some of the things for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, isn't there like you can watch it without the animations and it's like they still have something flipping a desk or knocking a cup or whatever or splashing water. The actors would have had that going on around them, and then they just draw the animation on top of that.
Yeah, they had like rigs and stuff with people like underneath tables. One of the better examples is they go into like a safe room, and Bob Hoskins bangs his head on the light fitting, and the light fitting's swinging.
Yeah.
And the animators have gone into by frame to paint the light swinging over over Roger himself, and you could just see the light actually bouncing off this
That's cool.
animated character, so to make it as real as possible, so it wasn't just flat animation.
We're talking about them now. How long ago were these films made? Like 30, even 40 years ago? Labyrinth was like 81 or something, wasn't it? Really long time ago, but we still love them now because it wasn't just another churned out, follow the rules kind of thing. It was like, let's make something actually special. And like, I think that's what's missing now is like the Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel's name is like, it's like mud now, and it's like when you hear that name, you just think cheap. You just think like cheap blockbuster kind of special effects. They're Vin Diesel in everything now, and it's ruining cinema and television.
When I do my animations, I try and do everything in the camera that I can, because with like it's more motion comic than it is stop frame. But you don't want to fix. It's like the only thing that I've done in CGI is in post is like portals and like
fair enough.
Something like I can't set fire to my bedroom.
Well, you could if you really wanted to make something memorable, but the cost to you would be too great.
Yeah, and it's just like I can't set fire to my bedroom. But what I have done is I've not used CGI fire. I've found these elements that were free to use.
Oh yeah, like you layered actual footage of fire.
But it is actual fire, actual explosions, actual sparks. So it's about as real as I've tried to get it. It's really weird because I'm usually behind the camera. Yeah. I'm not used to being filmed, so you might need to cut little bits out of me like looking at the camera.
No, I didn't know whether. Do you know what? When I'm doing this, I'm like, if I'm looking at the camera, that simulates that I'm looking at you. And when I'm looking away from it, it's like, what am I just like, I don't know whether to look at it or not. In my TikToks, I always look straight at the camera, but in the podcast, I'm like, should I be looking at it the whole time? Should I look away?
It's like when I've been doing this, I've been looking at your little, how we've got a little circle and green ring goes around it. So I've been looking sort of wistfully that way.
Well, wistful works, I think that'll work.